Hi, my name is Leanne Patsula, and I'm the Associate Director of the Psychometrics and Assessment Services Department at the Medical Council of Canada. Are you a program director who's eager to learn how to correctly interpret exam results for the MCCQE Part 1 and MCCQE Part 2? This video will walk you through the changes that have been made to our results reporting. In less than 10 minutes, you'll learn how to correctly interpret the exam results of any candidate, making your program selection process easier and giving you the know-how you need to support your learners when they receive their MCCQE results. So, let's get started. This year, we introduced two important changes to the MCCQE Part 1 and MCCQE Part 2. The first change is a new reporting scale for each exam. The new scale for the MCCQE Part 1 is 100 to 400, and the new scale for the MCCQE Part 2 is 50 to 250. So why did we change the exam scales? Since there was a significant change to our blueprint, we wanted new scales to avoid confusion between our exams based on the old blueprints and the new exams based on the new blueprint. When determining the new scales, we followed best practice guidelines. We made the scales different from other exam scales to discourage direct comparisons between examinations. We chose scales that differed from the current scales to minimize direct comparisons to the current scales. We ensured the number of scale score points was roughly equal to the number of raw score points to spread scores out appropriately. And lastly, we have a range that will accommodate potential changes in performance over time with more or less able cohorts. Need to compare the old exam scales and the new exam scales, but not sure how to do so? While we do not encourage comparing scores directly, we'll show you how to compare relative performance between the old and new exam scales. Scores can be compared to the mean and standard deviation of total scores using results from when the new exam score range was established. For example, a candidate who took the MCCQE Part 1 and received a score of 310 based on the new 100 to 400 scale, with a mean score of 250 and a standard deviation of 30, is 2 standard deviations above the spring 2018 mean. Similarly, a candidate who took the MCCQE Part 1 and received a score of 700 on the previous 50 to 950 scale, with a mean of 500 and a standard deviation of 100, is also 2 standard deviations above the spring 2015 mean when the old scale was established. These two scores would therefore represent similar performances. The second change we introduced is a new pass score of 226 for the MCCQE Part 1 and 138 for the MCCQE Part 2. So, why did we introduce a new pass score for these exams? It is best practice to revisit a standard every 3 to 5 years or whenever there is a change to an exam such as the new blueprint. Doing so ensures that fair, pass and fail decisions are made based on the new expectations of the examination. Now that you're aware of the changes to our exams, let's go over the 2 exam results documents. Candidates will continue to receive the same 2 documents in their physiciansapply.ca accounts, the Statement of Results and the Supplemental Information Report. When developing these documents, our goal was to provide candidates with useful and meaningful feedback that is supported by psychometric best practice and evidence. The first document, the Statement of Results, provides the candidate with their final result, their total score, and the pass score. The body of the report also provides the mean and standard deviation of when the scale was established. The second document, called the Supplemental Information Report, formerly known as a Supplemental Feedback Report, provides the candidate with subscores in graphical format based on the 2 dimensions of the new blueprint. When creating the Supplemental Information Report, our goal was to make it a self-standing and self-explanatory document. This document allows candidates to assess their relative strengths and weaknesses and compare their subscores with the mean subscores of first-time test takers who passed the exam. We use first-time test takers who passed so that the comparison is more meaningful for candidates. It would not benefit a candidate to have their performance compared to a group of test takers that includes those who failed. The first page provides the candidates with an explanation of what is indicated on the following pages. The second page highlights the new subscores, which are based on the 2 dimensions of the new blueprint: physician activities and dimensions of care. The third page contains domain definitions and the percent representation of each subscore. Not sure how to interpret the figures provided in the Supplemental Information Report? Let's find out. Here you can see new subscores that correspond with the new blueprint. It's important to keep in mind that subscores are based on less data than total scores and thus have less precision. Therefore, from a measurement perspective, it is always better to consider the total score rather than subscores. Subscores are intended to help candidates gauge their relative strengths and weaknesses. The colored bars, featured in this diagram, illustrate how a candidate has performed relative to self across different domains. The gray bars indicate the mean score of first-time test takers who passed the exam. In this case, the candidate received a higher score in chronic than they did in health promotion and illness prevention. Together, the gray and colored bars indicate how the candidate performed relative to first-time test takers who passed the exam in the fall of 2018. Here, the candidate's score in chronic is higher than the mean score of the first-time test takers who passed. The black bars are standard error of measurement bars. They depict the expected score variation if the candidate were to retake this exam. The shorter the bar, the better the measurement precision. Small differences in subscores, or an overlap between standard error of measurement, indicate that the performance in those domains was somewhat similar. Overlap between the standard error of measurement for a subscore and the mean score of first-time test takers who passed the exam signifies that the candidate's performance is similar to the mean score. No overlap suggests that the candidate performs significantly better or significantly worse than first-time test takers who passed. If you are selecting residents for entry into your program, the selection decision should not be based on a single assessment tool. We recommend that MCC exam results are used in conjunction with other sources of information. These can include results from other exams, medical school transcripts, reference letters, and other credentials. This allows for a more comprehensive view of a candidate's qualifications. That's everything you need to know how to interpret results for the MCCQE Part 1 and MCCQE Part 2. Still have questions? For more information, please visit mcc.ca to read our score interpretation guidelines or email resultsinterpretation@mcc.ca.